I am Madison Timmons.
I'm Chris Soucy.
And we're paranormal specialists who live in the most haunted city on earth, Savannah, Georgia. Every day is Halloween in our line of work, so join us as we spin true tales of haunts, murders, and disturbing Savannah history. I'm Madison.
I'm Chris.
And welcome to the most haunted city on earth. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the most haunted city on earth. My name is Madison Timmons.
I'm Chris Soucy.
And I'm Sparkles the ventriloquist.
Are you a unicorn ventriloquist? Because that's what I feel like would be Sparkles the ventriloquist.
I'm a hippopotamus.
Oh. If you didn't know, JT's an Aquarius, and this is the most Aquarius thing that he does. Well, one of them. He does a lot of very Aquarius. My favorite thing is
if you're watching this on the video, every time it cuts to JT, he looks like a video game player who just spends all night in his mom's basement playing video games. Because he's like totally decked out, laid back, headset on.
Ooh.
And he only takes up about, what? A quarter of the screen, and the rest of the screen is just
exactly.
Yeah, that sounds about right, yeah.
Exactly. But today we are going to be doing a ghost mail. We haven't done a ghost mail in a while, so
you've got ghost mail.
There you go. And while we're doing this, we have the older Spirit Chat out right now.
Yeah, it's the Spirit Chat version 3. We have been using version 4. I was just noting that it has it's a prettier box. It's got a nice little, like...
This space. This one doesn't talk out loud.
It doesn't talk out loud, but look how pretty it is.
It is very pretty.
I don't know if you can see that. It's very ornate. But it's got nice little ornate scribbles. And it's in italics, so it feels like the ghost is being like, ew, this space. Sorry.
This space. But, yeah, so we'll see if anything decides to commune while we are talking. But before we get into it, we are on the live stream right now while we're filming this, which is pretty much every single time we film now. And we asked some of the parajunkies what some of their favorite things about being a parajunkie. And Dark Fiery Guy says, I love the behind the scenes. Alexandra Machado said, I love the exclusives. Witabita said, all the live / behind the scenes stuff. It feels so cool to be a part of it. EO Serenity said, I love being a parajunkie because we get the full stream uncensored. LOL.
Uncensored.
And LOL. Thunderstorms, haunted dolls, and plus we have inside jokes, which is very true.
That's very true.
Yes, there are inside jokes.
Yeah.
And sometimes they get out, but we try to keep them in.
We do try to keep them in. And sometimes the live streams are uncensored. We get sidetracked or we
I say, damn it.
Oh my, why?
Yeah, it's going to be bleak.
Well, we're demonetized now.
We are. But yeah, that's just a few things about being a parajunkie. It's a really great community if you are looking for a space that has like-minded people who are very open to hearing thoughts and theories and discording, sharing stories. A very, very positive group. Obligation. It's saying you are obligated to become a parajunkie now.
The spirits say your obligation as listeners of this podcast is to join the parajunkies.
I like the Spirit Chat better than 4.
Preferably at the highest level humanly possible.
But yeah, if you are interested in joining us on Patreon, we do have an option where you can try out being a parajunkie for a week for free, just to kind of get a vibe for it, see if it's your thing. And then after that, you can obviously pick the tier that you like. Or I think JT said there is a free parajunkie thing. You don't really get much out of the free thing.
You get like announcements.
You get announcements of things that we're doing. But
you become aware of our movements.
Yeah, but everything else would be locked. So I do recommend trying it out for free if that is something you're teeter-tottering on. But Nikki also said, I love the live streams and all the extra access to our favorite creators. Oh, that's very sweet, Nikki.
Yeah,
it really does.
The bomb. I appreciate you.
It really does help us out a ton, though. It's probably the best way to support the podcast and its growth. And sending us on trips and bigger trips in the future, or eventually buying new equipment, new ghost hunting equipment, so we can try it out for you, so that you don't have to,
Indeed.
things like that. But yeah, so you know where to find us if that is what you are looking for.
Yes.
But let's go ahead and get into society. Yes, it is.
It is a society.
It is the Parajunkie
Okay,
Society.
I like V3. Wow. I like it.
Yeah, the ghosts are. We need to hire the ghost here
Right.
as our
A
marketing
little
director.
marketing. Please join our society of ghost enthusiasts.
Wow.
But EO Serenity said even the spirits are part of the Parajunkies, but they have the exclusive level.
Yeah.
That's funny. All
So
right.
yeah, if you want to be the highest level, become a spirit.
You have to die and then come join and live at the Savannah Underground with however many other ghosts are in this building. But anyways, we're going to go ahead and jump into Ghostmail, y'all. So our first one is from Jess. So Jess said, "Hey," in all caps.
Wow. Hey.
It was all caps and 3 exclamation points.
I think it's more like hey.
Oh, excited. Hey. I think it's more like hey.
Y'all are
Trying to-
freaks. No, it's hey.
The in drains. In drains?
What?
I don't like that.
Oh.
It says in drains.
Do you mean in trains? Because the
Oh,
last
it is a train set.
well, the last episode we filmed,
Oh,
we
we
were
did talk
talking
about
about
ghost
ghosts on
trains.
trains.
But this
So-
says in
The
drains.
Spirit Chat makes this already ADHD podcast
It
so
is.
much
We are
more
ADHD.
ADHD.
But it is actually raining
Oh,
really
Lord.
hard, so the drains might be full of water. Mm-hmm. Anyway,
Anywho,
back to the letter.
so hey. My name is Jess, and I am from the outskirts of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania,
Ooh,
where the
we were just-
splunk is.
Talking about Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Did Spirit of Ghost? Did it go off again?
Nar.
No.
Oh,
It flashes us in our irises. So,
Okay.
When you see us do this, it went off.
but I have been listening to your podcast for a few months now and love it in all caps.
Yay.
I've been wanting to send in a ghost mail for a while now, but every time I tried typing one out, the undiagnosed ADHD took over and it ended up being a rambling mess that made no sense. LOL. So I'll start small and tell you about the most recent instance that happened and why it was low-key terrifying. My favorite type of ghost story, low-key terrifying.
Yeah. No, for real.
It really isn't that bad, but it was a WTF moment for sure. So the WTF part comes from 2015, but we'll get faster. Okay, I will read faster. Now I'm getting criticized.
I know. Now you know how I feel.
Get to the
when
meat, get to the meat, get to the meat.
when I read them.
Literally. Faster.
Is there any way to turn the volume down?
There isn't.
Oh my gosh.
I can turn it off.
And let's turn it off so we can like read the ghost mail.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay.
Well, especially because I'm not reading fast enough for the ghosts
The
liking.
ghosts are like, okay, come on.
But the easy and not so terrifying part happened last night, June 2nd, 2024. Now, granted, this was a month ago, but nonetheless, over a month ago. And it was also close to 11:30 p.m. You see, my dad passed away from cancer, stage 4, cancer 4.5 years ago. Now my house is death haunted AF, but I have never had an experience with my father, at least that I know was him for sure. Nor do I get personalized or targeted encounters except for the possible mimic I hear calling my name every once in a while. But anywho, hold on, Jess. I hope this comes up again because you can't just gloss over the fact that you have a mimic.
Yeah, I'm like, so this is a low-key, terrifying story, not of the mimic that is...
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm bracing myself.
But anywho, there I go again. Oh, Jess.
Oh, Jess.
But last night I was laying in bed about to fall asleep, and your girl is afraid of what's in the dark. So, she sleeps with her TV on. I was just about to fall asleep because I could hear the TV fading out in the background. And all of a sudden I heard my dad's deep, serious voice say, "Jess." You go ahead and say that, Chris, for effect.
Jess.
Just like that.
That was perfect.
Right in my ear, as if he were standing right next to me. I immediately opened my eyes and scanned the room, seeing nothing and hearing the TV come back to full volume. I sat there for a moment, debating on whether or not I actually heard that or had the pre-sleep delulus going on. I quickly realized and knew that what I heard was what I heard. At this point, I got up and went to check on my mom. I asked her if she was okay and then proceeded to go back to my room and go to bed. In the morning, I explained what had happened to my boyfriend, and we went on and on talking about it. And when I told him I wanted to know why he came to me last night, my boyfriend seemed confused. You see, back in 2015, I was in Ohiophile. I don't know how to pronounce that. Ohiopyle, Pennsylvania. Visiting my cousins with my mom, uncle, and ex-boyfriend. My cousins owned a pub in a white water rafting unit up on the mountain, and they used old school buses to haul passengers and rafts back up the mountain. We were all sitting at the pub when we heard the fire sirens go off. Everyone was curious, but assumed that it was a wildfire on hunting grounds or a campfire gone wrong. My cousin Lynn had zero concerns for anything that was hers at this point. A few seconds had gone by, and I got this overwhelming sense of dread, panic, and felt the urge to say something, but I couldn't figure out what it was that I felt like someone or something was trying to get me to say. Then it hit me like a truck on the freeway. I looked at my cousin Lynn and said, "It's something of yours." I don't know how I knew this or who or what it was trying to get me to figure this out, or even if it was right or I was right. But once I had said it, she kind of brushed it off. However, my feeling of dread left. Like I did what I was supposed to do and tell her that. I felt fine, kind of like when you're super duper anxious for a speech and then afterwards you're just you again. They kept talking, probably thinking that I, the 15-year-old at the time, was a psycho. A few minutes had gone by and Lynn's phone started ringing. On the other line was her one bus driver telling her that the bus they used to carry the rafts up the mountain had caught fire. Oof. They managed to throw as many off as they could, but they had lost some to the blaze. I immediately felt relief knowing it was not the bus that was carrying the passengers back up. After Lynn got the details and confirmed that no one was injured, she hung up the phone and looked at me and said, "How the fire truck did you know that?" I looked at her like a deer in headlights, wondering the same damn thing. How does this relate to my experience last night, you ask? Well, after my boyfriend had said that maybe my dad just wanted to say hi, I swiftly remembered him that last time something or someone, whatever it was back in 2015, came to me, a bus caught on fire. Kind of funny, kind of ha 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 ha. Anywho, I hope you enjoyed my story and can maybe tell me why I only get visited when my dad or when bad things happen. Haha. Thank you for your time and have a great summer. Love y'all. I forgot to add the part where it was scary. This was in a secondary email. Oh. I forgot to add the part where it was scary because I was afraid something bad was going to happen. It hasn't yet, but that seems to be how it goes. Anywho, I'll let you know if it does. LMAO, Jess. Well, Jess, I hope nothing happened since June 2nd.
Yeah, I know. Please let us know.
But, I mean, it's not uncommon for people's loved ones to, give them a little heads up when something is going to happen, or they know like, hey, I could probably give you at least a little warning so that you could prepare for it or what have you. And maybe you're just the most sensitive out of the bunch in the family. So that might be why your dad is choosing you to relay the message. But
and it's worth noting that you bring up something that I've heard many times with people who get messages, that they get very antsy or stressed out until they can pass it to the person who needs to hear it. And I've heard that from people who would like get a message and they would have to carry it a long time. They might have it for years, and then they see the person. They're like, "Oh, it's you. I'm supposed to tell you this." And then elation. They feel like free. So it's interesting because I think there is like some kind of weird message retrieval service going on in the spiritual world where a spirit's like, oh, you can hear me.
Yeah.
Tell so-and-so this.
Right.
And then you're like, okay. And then you feel anxious and you feel pressure until you can get that message across. And when you do, you're like, oh, okay,
I did my part.
Yeah, I did what I was supposed to do.
Yeah.
And that's really interesting. I like the notion of that because it seems like there's a purpose to the message. It's not just I got a flash of something. Because a lot of people do get like premonition style flashes that don't get them anywhere, that are just like, well, what am I supposed to do with that? So it's really nice to think, here's a message, get it to that person, and when you get it to them, you'll be relieved of your duties.
Exactly. Yeah, it does happen a lot where people, see bits of tragedies, especially with major tragedies. There's a ton of different ones throughout history where multiple people after the incident came forward was like, oh, years ago, I had a dream of this, but I didn't really know what it was, or if I did know what it was, who was I supposed to tell, or like things of that nature. World War II just came through the spirit chat.
Didn't we just talk about World War II?
We did.
I think,
We were.
Yeah, we did.
But even more so, premonitions. We're talking about people seeing terrible things. There are a lot of premonitions for World War II. Nostradamus famously had, incredible premonitions about World War II. Oh, we turned the spirit box back on. For those of you who are just listening,
And that didn't just possess me to be like World War II. What's that movie where it's the psychic where she's like listening? It's that whodunit movie. Was it Knives Out? The second Knives Out.
I have no clue.
Oh, right.
Where the psychic literally is like listening. That's oldest son.
Oldest son.
Oldest son.
Did your oldest son go to World War II?
Oh.
Interesting.
Which is very possible.
It is very possible.
Especially because wasn't the draft was heavily used during World War II,
That is
so
correct.
wouldn't the oldest son of a family probably be the first choice to be drafted? But yeah, give us some more deets, whoever is speaking to us, some details.
Thank you, Jess. That was a good story.
Yes,
And we do want to hear about your mimic. by
please
the
tell
way.
us about the mimic.
Yeah,
Also,
how could you just mention
one
the
of
mimic?
one of the weirdest parts of your mimic story is you can't say you have a mimic and then say you heard your father's voice without us wondering if the father's voice wasn't the mimic using your father's voice.
This is true.
I was thinking the same thing.
It was like,
Yes.
oh no. And then there are different notations because now if something bad didn't happen, then this encounter might be a separate encounter from the premonition encounter that you had earlier. This could be an adaptation for your mimic trying to get your attention. And in many ways, that is the prime motivation of the mimic is to draw you, is to make you pay attention, is to make you listen, to make you absent-mindedly approach it. So to be on your guard. I'm just saying.
Just keep an eye out if your dad's ghost or what you think is your dad's ghost starts acting odd.
Yeah, we've heard a lot of stories about parent voices, although it's usually moms.
Yeah, it's
It
usually
seems like
moms.
I've heard more mom stories than dad
Lot of
stories. Yeah.
A lot of moms.
Not that it's impossible. It's just we seem to hear more mom stories.
All right. So this next one, and thank you, Jess, for sending that. But next one is from Marion. So hi guys, I'm a new subby from South Africa.
Ooh, cool.
Super cool.
Yeah.
And maybe you'll mention some of it in your ghost mail. But Marion, write us some South African ghost stories. We'd love
please.
to.
We'll do a whole episode.
Cryptids,
Yeah,
ghost
anything.
stories, anything you got.
So I'm not sure how everyone will take the stories I've shared, but they've had a huge impact on my life and my family's lives. I hope you enjoy them as much as I enjoy being part of this community. Love you all. Oh, that's very sweet, Marion.
Dang.
The paranormal has always been woven into the fabric of my life. Many members of my large family have had the uncanny ability to see and speak with spirits. I, on the other hand, have always been terrified of this gift in quotation marks, and thankfully have never seen a spirit myself. Unfortunately, I have felt their presence all too strongly. The first memorable encounter happened when I was 14. We had just moved from the bustling city to a quiet suburb. One night, my cousins, my best friend, and I decided to play book and key. The game involved placing a key in the middle of a book, wrapping a string around it, and having two people hook their little fingers on either side of the key while calling upon a specific spirit. Seems like a fun activity, Marion.
Yeah. I was about to say that's new.
That is new.
Oh no, book and key is, and it's
new for me.
Eurocentric popularity. It's akin to a séance, but I don't know. In recent history, there was is it the pencils?
Yes.
They did that?
Oh my gosh, yes. Yeah. It was.
So there are derivatives of this when you call a specific spirit. I want to say, can't remember the name now, but it's a specific spirit that you call.
Yeah, because it was people would tie the pencil in the center and let it draw messages for you, and you try to decipher it.
Crazy stuff.
Yeah, it was super interesting. That was only a couple, like
so
within
Dark
the
Fire's
past 5
guy
years.
says sounds dangerous. That is correct. It is. It's a dangerous practice because it is a free associated communication with spirits, and it can be answered by any spirit.
Very true. So we didn't have a candle, so we improvised with a fire in a pot and called upon the spirit of River Phoenix. Yes, I know it sounds absurd. After asking...
The actor?
The actor.
Right.
Yeah, the actor.
Not a phoenix from the river.
Oh, I didn't even make that association. Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh, cool. There's a phoenix that rises out of the river. Seems counterintuitive, but sounds cool.
You never hear about those water phoenixes.
I mean,
it's hard to burn up and turn to ash when you're...
Or maybe that's how they're quenching the phoenix to turn into ash. I don't know. Anywho.
Back to the letter.
They were trying to conjure the actor River Phoenix is what we're going
with. We think.
We're
you know
going
what?
with.
I'm now realizing maybe we're wrong. Maybe it is
it's
a River Phoenix.
I think it's the actor.
Anyways, yes, I know it sounds absurd. After asking a few yes or no questions, the fire suddenly went out. Terrified, we all bolted out of the room. For weeks, my room was ice cold, and I constantly felt like I was being watched. Later, I played another spirit game. After dismissing the spirit, I asked if it was still there and received an affirmative message. No matter how many times I tried, I couldn't dismiss it. That's concerning. That was the last time I ever played such games, and I slept in my parents' room until we moved out. My aunt, uncle, and their kids moved in after us as previous tenants hadn't paid rent. My younger cousin then began to see spirits in the most brutal ways, exactly as they died.
Oof.
Wow.
Yeah, that's gnarly.
That's like Sixth Sense.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Spirits, realizing he could see them, relentlessly visited him. It got so bad that no one in the house could sleep, as my 12-year-old cousin would start screaming in terror at random times. Despite numerous priests trying to bless him and remove his gift, nothing worked.
Dang.
They, too, eventually moved out, but my cousin remained haunted by his ability, earning a reputation among friends as the kid who suddenly needed to pray. My older cousin and her husband moved in next, and their experience was no different. She confided in my mom that she could hear an old man walking the hallway after midnight, pushing a box and singing the Afrikaans song, Exa dapper muis, ik ho stop ek. Dear me, huis. I'm sorry. I know I butchered that.
Definitely butchered that.
Well, I'm sorry. I don't speak the language.
Chopped that up.
Well, I'm sorry. I don't speak the language. Excuse me.
We all know.
Don't shoot the messenger. I am just delivering the story. I'm going to exile you if you speak out of turn again, though.
I haven't been exiled in a while.
We'll turn the spirit chat back on and just listen to it for...
Yeah. Well, here's the translation. Mm-hmm. I'm a brave mouse. See how I walk through my house.
Ooh.
That's super creepy.
Although it's neat that it rhymes in English.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, wow. I never even thought about that. That's crazy.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
We later learned that the previous owner, an old man who loved the house dearly, had died there. His son sold the house to my mom after his passing. My older cousin had many terrifying encounters in that house before finally moving out. I remember visiting her one day only to find her staying outside all day because a spirit inside had been bothering her. This spirit even followed her to her new home.
Dang.
But that's another long story that we would like to hear.
Yes.
Send that in.
The next significant encounter happened when my daughter was about 12 or 13. She began describing the things she saw, which caught me off guard. My grandmother, who had passed away when I was just a year old, was a mystery to me. We had no photos of her. Yet when my daughter described a lady with black hair and a white dress, my mother confirmed that it was an exact match to my grandmother. Other family members also reported seeing her. However, the situation became alarming when my daughter mentioned a particular spirit that seemed to enjoy scaring her.
Oh, boy.
This spirit would jump...
Oh, hell no.
Literally.
Amen.
This spirit would jump out at her when she was alone, giving her quite a fright. I taught her a prayer to send the spirits away, and she stopped mentioning him after that. Knowing how scared I was of spirits, my daughter rarely brought up the subject. One night when we returned home late, my daughter followed me to the bedroom and told me there was a man in the lounge. I initially thought she meant an intruder, but she clarified that the man wasn't real and that she could feel him approaching our room. I grabbed her hands and we prayed, commanding the spirit to leave and asking God to protect our house. My daughter confessed that she was afraid of sending spirits away because they might return even angrier.
Right.
That night, she said the man had shouted that he would come back. She also mentioned a lady in the house who didn't bother us and seemed attached to the place. Shortly after we moved out. Since then, my daughter hasn't told me about how much about her experiences. When I eventually asked her, she said she ignored the spirits and they seemed to bother her less. Later, she became depressed and her medication dulled her senses, so she hasn't seen them anymore.
Oh, wow.
The next time something happened was one night. I went to bed earlier than everyone else, eager to read a novel on my phone. I had switched off the lights and settled in when I felt an overwhelming sense that something was standing in my bedroom doorway watching me.
Oh, boy.
No.
Hat man.
Hat man. Haven't had a hat man in a while.
We
I know,
haven't.
right? What the hell?
The feeling was so intense that I pulled the covers over my head and curled into a ball under the blanket. Despite my attempts to hide, I could feel this presence walk up to my bed and lean over me, as if trying to force me to see it. We've had another person write in about
We've had a couple.
Yeah.
people having
that
an
specific
That
notion
specific thing happened.
Yeah.
demanding to be seen.
Dang.
It felt incredibly real and physical, my entire body tingling with fear. I began praying fervently, and only after finishing the prayer did I feel like I was alone again. Since that night, I've occasionally had similar sensations of being watched, but they've never been as intense. Our prayer usually helps me feel safe again. The paranormal has always fascinated me, and growing up, I was not as afraid as I am now. I hope that in the future, I only need to listen to the stories of other people and hopefully never have any of my own again. Smiley face, Marion.
Oh,
Wow.
Wow.
Excellent stories.
Wow.
Those are fascinating stories,
fascinating.
Marion. Yeah, I mean, if you have more stories, which it sounds like you do, please share them with us because that is very intriguing. Some of them sound nice, like, you know, the old man just loving his house and singing his little song. Although, you know, sometimes with ghosts, we do wish that they wouldn't be active at all hours of the night singing. But, you know, at least that sounds mild. I am intrigued by the entity that has tried to force you to see
demanding
it.
to be seen.
Because...
And I wonder if there's not this family legacy that you're supposed to, you know, pick up, a mantle that you're, you know,
right.
that you're expected to interact more than you are. Because it's not impossible to ignore your gifts, but it can be really hard.
Yeah.
And spirits can be persistent. And so I'd be interested to know if there is escalation or if there's, you know, any other stories about that entity, because something tells me that you probably would know the sensation of this entity were you to encounter it again.
Now I don't remember. Did she describe what like stood over her in the over the bed?
No, because she had her blankets over her
Oh,
head,
okay,
but
that's
she
what it
could
was, that's
feel
what it
it, and
was.
she said it felt very physical,
Right.
like in
I guess
present.
physically present, yeah.
Yeah,
Dang.
like as if a person was like
Right.
leaning
Yeah.
over, like, look at me, look at
Yeah.
me.
And I'm interested to know how you knew it wasn't an intruder.
I feel like there's a different vibe.
I find that there's almost always a notion that it's not real, even when people who are like, it was as clear as day, I saw this person, it was like he was right there. I think there is some kind of internal recognition that the presence you're sensing, feeling, although I guess there are certain stories where people are like, I thought it was a real person. I thought that was just somebody. So I think it really does rely on how you react or interact with a real person in your house versus, a supernatural presence in your house.
Well, I'm glad it was a ghost
Yes.
and not a real
person breaking into your house.
I'm also wondering all those encounters that people were having in that previous house that a bunch of your family members had lived in, where they were
Right.
having those interesting encounters. Because at the very beginning of your ghost mail, you had mentioned that you had done some level of conjuring. The spirit chat just blinded us and said, I also need to know.
We need to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that's just it. It's interesting because when you think about it, children's games, there are a lot of children's games that delve into, because like even Bloody Mary,
Right.
when you think about it, it's introduced to us as a slumber party gag or slumber party gig, light as a feather,
Light as a feather, stiff
stiff
as a board.
light as a feather, stiff as a board. That there are quasi-ritualistic games that we teach children, but I don't know where we learn them exactly.
Right.
It's some kind of urban legend spread amongst a certain age range. And I guess as kids are aging out, they're telling younger and younger kids who are telling all their friends. But we all know them. We all learned them. There used to be one that we used to play where, and it was dangerous because we used to, it involved lighting a match and asking questions to the flickering flame.
Ooh.
And we used to do that. And I was like, who told us that and why? Who was out there going, all right, look, I know you're 7 years old, but if you can get your hands on some matches, you can talk to the dead. I was like, all right. What? Yeah, and that's exactly how strangely addictive the paranormal is.
Yeah.
Because I actually went to a workshop that talked about vintage ghost hunting techniques. And in that, they were talking about flame work where you use a candle.
That's what I used to do when I was a kid.
Yeah, you use a candle and it's like, move to the break law. I need break law.
You need to break the law.
The laws of physics. But depending on whether the flame gets brighter or larger, taller, if it moves to the left, if it moves to the right, things like that. And it's just something that we kind of inherently learn.
Sure.
Even the Ouija board, it's amazing how many families had it just in their house, just on the game shelf, Ouija
Right.
board. And it's just like, let's play the Ouija board. Yeah, let's play the Ouija board. What is it again? We're talking to dead people. Yeah. Why are we doing that? Because it's dead people. Yeah. What a weird thing. What a strange, peculiar thing.
For us to do.
And it's like good for ages 8 and up. Well, how bad can it be? It's good
Right.
for ages 8 and up. Yeah.
Yep.
Don't play with the Ouija board.
Don't. Yeah, and don't do candle divination if you don't know what you're doing. Trust me, I'm sure I unleashed some things in the house that my parents still live in. Because I was like 10 years old doing exactly that. Nobody taught me to do this. I don't know why.
Yeah, I wonder if it's not some inherent knowledge.
Hovering. What do you mean? Are you hovering in here?
The spirit chat just said hovering.
Hovering, lurking.
And it needs to break the law.
And it needs to break the law. You know, sometimes we just need to break the law.
That's true.
Loosen up a little bit. But, well, all right then. But yeah, Marion, send in more ghost stories. And if you have...
Yeah, and local folklore and legends and ghosts from your area, we would love to hear them.
Yeah, I would love... And that goes for anybody who, you know... anywhere. I mean, you can live in the U.S., but if you live outside the U.S. And you have local, like, little folk tales that they would tell you when you're a kid, or, you know, or commonplace that you think we would be interested in, send it over. Doesn't matter. You don't even just have to be in South Africa. So
yeah,
we
everybody has local ghost stories, and we'd love to hear them. Serenity is wondering who had Hasbro or whatever. I think it was Parker Brothers. I think Parker Brothers were the ones who mass produced the Ouija board, and yeah, that was imagine that office meeting.
Oh yeah.
Hey Tim, what have you got there? Well, I've got a board that will talk to dead people. Well, let's market it to kids. Excellent.
You know what kids literally love?
Dead people.
Dead people. Talking to dead people. This is really gonna hit.
They're just trying to achieve. You know, we're trying to get to a different market. That's really what it is.
Well, and another interesting thing is I'm remembering back to early childhood and doing seances, and that seance was something that was introduced as an idea of a concept that you could do: sit in a circle and you talk to dead people, but no rules, no description. We just knew that if I sat in a circle,
something's gonna happen.
And I light a candle or hold hands, we could talk to a dead person.
That sounds about right. Pointing. Where are you pointing?
Hovering and pointing.
Well, actually, that's describing a Ouija board.
Oh.
Oh yeah.
Hovering.
Oh yeah. Interesting.
Did you play with a Ouija board?
Are you the product of a Ouija board?
Oh, that's not impossible.
You know what's a fun fact about this place is we don't have a single Ouija board in it.
That they know of.
Ooh.
Where are you hiding it, Chris?
I would. You should know by now that I don't mess with no Ouija board.
Well, that's why it'd be here, because
that is fair.
You came across one and you're like, I don't want this. But
get thee from me.
That's funny.
Ouija board.
EO Serenity said the ultimate babysitter for kids, the undead.
It's true. Keep them in line.
Exactly.
You don't even have to pay them.
Yeah.
Right.
The parents can just be, okay, we're going to leave, get in bed, or the ghost will eat you.
No,
Bye.
You know what's so funny, actually, is on my tour on Saturday, I always make a joke about, like, because there were police reports that were made of people claiming that Alice Riley was coming up to their children and trying to lure them away from them. And so I always make a joke, and I was like, so it's probably best if you like your kids, don't walk them through Right Square, because nobody's trying to have their child taken by a ghost, right? And then somebody goes, it's free childcare. I'm here for it. So I'm like...
free childcare.
And I was like, you know what? Understood.
You do you.
You do you.
Our customers are a different breed.
I love it. And she said it with her full chest. She meant that. And I was like, I'm not going to argue. To each their own. But anywho.
And I think Alice Riley would actually take good care of your child.
I think so too, actually. But
all right.
Anywho. So going on to our next one is from Jamie. So, hello, Haunted City crew. I wanted to start out by saying how much I enjoy your podcast.
Hey.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
I stumbled across it somewhat recently and love the way you tell stories and interact with each other.
Woo-woo.
I recently became a parajunkie.
Awesome.
And enjoy the extra content. Also, I love Patrick.
Patrick
is cool.
Patrick said, I love you too. Flap, flap. Anyways,
Flap.
Nothing against the haunted dolls. I just really love bats. No.
To each their own.
To each their own. I'm
Patrick's kind of like our. I mean, he's always smack dab in the middle. He's kind of our mascot.
He is our mascot. No, Jingles is offended.
Screw Jingles.
Oh! You heard it here first. JT will be murdered by a small clown.
With tiny swords and lots of them.
We're just going to find a bunch of little holes all over JT.
It's like Final Destination 2. Instead of Beware the Man with Hooks, it's Beware the Small Clown Doll with Swords.
Small clown. Well, I don't know why we armed him, but He's armed.
He wanted it. He asked
Nope,
for
stop
it.
that. What? That conversation is wrong on every level.
Oh boy.
But
Back to the ghost mail.
anyways, so Jimmy said, anyway, this may be a lengthy note, so I apologize in advance if it's too long. It's never too long.
We like the long notes.
As one of our previous ghost mails said, Faye Daddy loves detail and
Give us the deets.
the backstory.
Spill the tea. Get out the thesaurus.
All the context. But I wanted to share some of my experiences and ask for your thoughts / advice. I've always been on the creepy side. You're in good company for that. I have known things I shouldn't know and seen things no one else can see. When I was very young, my parents became super religious.
Before we go any further, seems to be the theme of the letters today.
Yeah,
This is all about seeing and knowing things you're not supposed to know.
Interesting.
it is.
Yeah.
And again,
Very.
we don't go out of order. I literally pull these ghost mails in order of how they come in. So
It must be a trending theme of the paranormal vibe right now is that all these people who seem to be inherent spiritual communicators are now wanting to share their stories.
yeah. Well, and I'm happy to hear it because as a fellow Sixth Sense kid, I can sympathize with you. But
I have 4.5 senses.
4.5 senses. That's funny.
That's why I wear glasses.
That's fair. What I lack in eyesight, I make up with my seeing of ghosts. But anywho, so when I was very young, my parents became super religious. The first church they attended encouraged me because they said I had the gift of discernment. For a very basic definition, this is a religious term for being able to sense if something is from God or the devil.
Important distinctions.
Yeah.
Very.
When I was a little older, my family moved, and the new church we went to said I was opening myself up to the devil and needed to shut down my abilities. Was it Pentecostal? Because that feels about right. So here's a little bit about the abilities I had as a kid. I could sense stuff around me, especially negative things. Once my family stopped at a roadside attraction that had a submarine you could walk through. My dad, older brother, and I went into it, and I got separated from my dad as something caught my attention, and I stopped to look at it. At some point, I saw a scary man. I was only about 3 at the time, and the details of this man has been lost to time. I just remember it terrified me. I ran through the sub, screaming at the top of my lungs for my dad. I was near inconsolable when I caught up with him and told him about the scary man. He confirmed my brother, him, and I were the only people in the sub at that time.
Oh boy.
Imagine being a scary ghost haunting a roadside submarine. Like, what a specific thing to haunt.
And because on top of that, you were probably like an accomplished sailor, and now you're like stuck in like the most undesirable of locations.
Right.
Like, you're looking
On
out the
land.
Yeah, looking out the port window, going parking lot,
Highway.
Y'all say highway at the same time.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was weird.
We're just
We got comic timing. We got
Yes.
chaps.
That was strange. Y'all could have said anything around
Right.
the parking lot, but all right, heard.
But there you go. But anyway, so a few years later, when I was 5 or 6, we lived with my grandparents. My brother and I shared a room with bunk beds. He had the top bunk, and one night I was woken up in the middle of the night to a figure standing next to my bed. It was in shadows, and I couldn't tell who it was, so asked who's there. It said, "It's insert my brother's name." No, that's not allowed for it to say, "I'm your brother." And it's like, no, you're not.
You know me. I'm your 5-year-old brother.
Charlie. Don't you know? Don't you recognize me?
Look into my fiery red eyes.
I told him we'd get in trouble for being awake, so he'd better go back to bed. Then it said, "Just kidding, it's Daddy." Absolutely
the
not.
hell?
Oh, that is such a trickster spirit.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
Confused as to why my dad would wake me up in the middle of the night and pretend to be my brother,
Oh boy.
I don't think I said anything. Then it said, I lied. I'm actually the devil, and I'm here to give you a cold.
What the hell?
What?
Wow.
Here to do what?
Although I will say, of all diabolical obsession and diabolical presences, the one that's like, I'm going to give you the sniffles. Fear me.
That's actually really mean.
It is really mean.
Cold.
Yeah. Well, there are demons, if you want to go down that route. I mean,
Sure.
there are demons that are in charge of giving disease to people.
Sure.
Oh, okay.
So it's
Maybe. How old was this person again?
5 or 6 at this
5 or
point.
6. So maybe that's the term it's using to
To make it understand.
make it understand, to make her understand.
Right.
Yeah.
Or
Illness.
him or them
Sure.
understand.
I'm the devil and I'm here to give you a cold.
Yes.
Ugh.
My sister used to say that wherever she hurt, she had a tummy ache. So if she had a headache, she'd say, I have a tummy ache in my head.
Oh.
Or she hit her
Yeah.
arm, she'd be like, I got a tummy ache on my
You can say,
arm.
where's your tummy ache?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's basically akin to being like, I have a boo-boo.
Right.
But all right. So as a small child who grew up in a very religious family, I did the only thing that made sense to me at the time. I closed my eyes and sang, Jesus loves me. Fair enough.
Sure.
When
Although I'll tell you right now, if in the middle of the night a small girl starts singing Jesus Loves Me, I would probably be terrified. That would scare me.
Loves me, this I know. And especially because her brother is sleeping above her. Like, I can't imagine what the brother was thinking in this situation. Like, my sister's a freak. Like, but anyways, so when I opened my eyes again, it was gone. As an adult, I don't believe I was visited by the actual devil, but it's one of those things I can't explain. So on that point, there are a lot of entities that will refer to itself as the devil because, especially when you were a child, to get you to understand that it is something to be feared.
Right. They want the fear. And truthfully, something that everyone who listens can kind of take this to heart. Demons, devils, they do not want you to know they are devils.
Yeah.
They do everything in their power to not identify themselves. And so when a spirit identifies itself as a devil or a demon, it is 9 times out of 10 not a devil or a demon.
Right.
Because demons do not want to be identified. The process of identification is, in fact, the process of elimination for a demon. Once you have their name, you can organize a defense against them. Of course, speaking their name opens you up for calamity. So there's a double-edged sword
That's
going
true.
on there.
But continuing further, about this time was when I was told I couldn't pay attention to this stuff anymore because it was bad. But
Sure.
being told I couldn't pay attention to it didn't turn it off automatically. I understand.
As it, yeah.
Yeah, I get it. I had recurring dreams about the apocalypse and portals to hell and continued to know/see things. As I grew up, a lot of this faded until I got to college. In college, I got mixed up with a religious group that was very cultish. Again, I could sense negative things others couldn't. I remember being at a prayer meeting one night and feeling like there was a negative presence. I mentioned it to the others, and since I was the only one who sensed it, I found myself on the receiving end of their version of an exorcism.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's
intense.
and that's actually not the first time I've heard that happening to people
Right.
who have abilities and, they're very culty church is like, well, we got to get the demons out of her,
Yep.
or we got to get the
yeah.
demons out of you, blah, 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 blah. And so that happens, unfortunately, more often than people would think, which doesn't make it any better or traumatizing, but nonetheless. So that was an unpleasant experience, I can imagine. And I kept a lot of what I was sensing to myself. As an adult, I worked in a very haunted building. I worked in the top floor. There was only one way in and out of this space. And there were 3 offices on this floor, and mine was right by the entrance. No one came in to leave without me seeing them. On a regular basis, I would hear footsteps in the hall. I'd get up and see if someone came in, and I missed them. Even though this was not likely, there was never anyone there. My boss and wrote it off as the floorboards expanding and contracting. I guess that's one way, but I don't buy this because it always happened in order, growing nearer and further away as if somebody was pacing in the hall. We also had experiences of doors opening and closing, the thermostat being changed, desk drawers being pulled out while your back was turned, and the entrance door rattling like someone was trying to open it but couldn't. Again, there would be no one there if I jumped up to open the door for them because I thought it was someone struggling with the door. This wasn't a negative experience, just a little creepy, but it reminded me of the things I had experienced as a kid. As I got older, I decided to leave the religion I grew up in. I'm not sure what I believe now, but consider myself spiritually open and also fairly agnostic. Since leaving the church, I feel like there's been a resurgence in my abilities. When they started emerging, it was mainly negative experiences again. For example, in 2020, my parents decided to sell their house and travel the country in an RV for a few years. My stomach dropped when they told me because I was overwhelmed with the sense that someone was going to die because of this decision.
Oh, wow.
That's scary.
That's dark.
In March 2023, my parents were hit by a distracted driver and my mom was killed on impact.
Oh, my God.
What?
I have some cool stories of how she's reached out from the other side that I'll write back with later.
Holy crap.
But that's insane. That's crazy. Like, Jamie, that's intense.
Wow.
I live with a roommate, and one day I walked into the house and knew immediately that she'd broken up with her boyfriend. She was in her room, and I didn't see her. And I just knew. She told me later that day that they had broken up. One more example, I was watching a TikTok live one night, and the creator announced she was pregnant. A couple weeks later, I saw that she was live again, so I joined. As soon as her face filled the screen, I knew she had had a miscarriage. She confirmed it in a video a little later. All the negative stuff does scare me sometimes, but as I've been more open to things, there's been more positive experiences. My roommate and I lost 3 pets over the last couple years, and I have seen and heard spirits of our fur babies from time to time. I've seen her old white cat running up the stairs. One day I was doing a yoga practice. I was in downward facing dog when I saw my wiener dog, who recently died, walking towards me. She loved when I did yoga and would always help me. I was so startled seeing her, I fell out of the pose. I tried recreating it in case it was just a trick of the light, but was never able to. Finally, I work in hospital administration, which I'm sure is very intense.
Yes, for a sensitive.
But my office is in a part of the building that no longer offers patient services. However, our area was the original maternity ward where the hospital was built when the hospital was built in the 1950s. I have a very petite coworker who has a very calming presence. Her office is across the hall and one door down from mine. More and more recently, I will catch a glimpse of who I think is her in my office door. I'll look out to greet her, but no one is there. I get the impression there is the spirit of a petite woman with a very similar disposition to my colleague that likes to pop in and check everything is going well. She seems curious more than anything. So with all that being said, I'd love your advice on how I can further develop these abilities with a focus on the positive aspects over the negative ones, especially since it seems that the negative ones come through easier. Any thought you have would be greatly appreciated. Thanks for all you do and keep up the spooky work, Jamie.
Dang, Jamie.
Wow.
So that gift is a burden. And it's very difficult to separate the good from the bad. When you speak of wanting to focus on the good things, yes, that's fair. But one of the reasons why bad premonitions are so potent and powerful is that oftentimes a bad premonition is about the altering of a flow of energy in your existence or in the existence of others. That disruption is oftentimes so seismic. It has ripples that if you are sensitive, then you can detect them. You can sense them, that there is, down the road, this calamity. It's kind of like being near a drum set versus being near a flute. Like if somebody's playing the drums in the next building over, you'll hear the drums. But if they're playing the flute, you may not hear it, and the flute might be more pleasant. It's difficult to tell you. There's really not that much you can do to amplify the good and dull the bad. But there is a way to accept your position in all of this. If you're being receptive to the messages of the universe, to the energies that are going around you, this puts you in an interesting position of precognizance, of understanding the mechanism of life. And that way, these terrible things that you may get flashes of or understand, you can, well, for one thing, you can bolster and help others who are going to experience it.
The spirit chat just said, always here.
And yeah, there's something strangely reassuring about that.
Yeah.
Because there's a difficulty in it because I don't want to be like, suck it up and and then go on. But what I think is important is to know that it's not a gift for everyone. Not everyone is exposed to it. And so that puts you in this place where you can take a certain amount of pride in the fact that you are very rare to be able to have these kinds of gifts. And in that rarity, even though the bad stuff does come through, and even though you are going to sense these some bad things, there is an inherent beauty to it, and you should definitely try to embrace that the hardships will be there. I imagine it's a lot like being a doctor in a lot of ways, because no matter how very gifted a doctor you are, death and entropy are all parts of the human condition, and you will invariably have to deal with that. But that doesn't stop you from healing and from treating people and from attempting to do your best. So I'm sorry that I don't have any more advice than the fact that knowing that you have the ability can become your comfort.
And I mean, I can relate to you on a lot of fronts because it's like I also did not ask for this ability to see spirits, and sometimes it is very frightening. And and also as a person who has a very deep religious trauma, I totally understand where you're coming from. I will tell you, just because you said that you were spiritually open, something that at least helps get you through the rougher experiences is tapping into your spirit team, asking for, your guardian spirits to watch over you and keep an eye on you and things like that, and ask for their protection, because that is what they are there for. If you are in the mindset of believing in having spirits sit down, who I am sat. Anyways.
That might just be a delayed message for JT.
For JT, yeah. I was just about to say, for me, yeah.
Yeah. But, so I would say that could be something to help at least bring comfort to you, to know that you have spirits out there that are working in your favor as well and for your best interest. But like Chris was saying, sometimes you can't fully keep the bad encounters away. Like, trust me, there have been plenty of times where I've had encounters with spirits that I would have rather not have had encounters with, or, or they delivered a message in a way that I did not want them to do, or what have you. But it's just sometimes is what comes with the territory.
For sure.
But yeah, that's just at least something that makes me feel better. So when I go into very spiritually active places, I'm like, I know I've got like a team of spirits that they got my back. They're going to do their best to keep me from getting spiritual attacks or, things of that nature. So.
Do you have the Spirit Chat 4, Chris?
I do have the Spirit Chat 4.
Let's turn it on. We have a couple minutes.
Drinking.
Ooh, okay.
Always here. Sit down, drinking.
JT.
Yeah.
Is always here.
Always here.
Sitting down and drinking something.
Some type of
Energy
water.
water.
Energy. Coffee. I drink a lot of coffee.
You want to see if we get similar
Yeah.
reactions. But thank you, Jamie, for sending in that story. And
Yes.
send us anything else that you've had experience-wise that you want to. But hopefully that little bit of advice gives at least some ideas to get your mind churning, if you will. But
So, did you enjoy the stories?
Oh, we're speaking to the spirits now using the spirit
my
chats.
bad.
but also, did y'all enjoy the
Yes.
stories?
Please write in if you've enjoyed the stories. We have the Spirit Chat version 4 and the Spirit Chat version 3 both running. The primary difference between the version 4 and version 3 is that the version 4 has twice as many, a little over twice as many words in its word bank to pull from and draw from. And that puts it in a different contemplative place. You can get much more intriguing. And the last time I had them both running, sometimes the Spirit Chat 3 would say something, and then the Spirit Chat 4 would elaborate.
From?
Where are you from?
Where are you from?
England, right?
It is from England. That is correct. Well, we're not from England.
No.
But these were made by
Mira. M-I-R-A.
the name
Mira.
Mira.
Is your name Mira?
Are we speaking to Mira? Something that I found out interesting. We were
maybe
doing
from Mira.
Right.
Maybe there's a place called Mira. Let me check.
Oh, sure. Oh, that's interesting. I'm from
Yeah.
Mira.
I thought that, but I was like, well, I don't know. Maybe there's a small town named Mira.
We were having really interesting Estes interactions in the Fitzpatrick Hotel this weekend. But one of the interesting things that was coming through was we were beginning to wonder if the names that were coming through were names of that the spirit was looking for a specific person versus carpet. There is carpet.
Are you standing here on the carpet with us?
Oh, mirror.
Oh, a mirror.
Mirror.
We are right next to a mirror. Oh, from the mirror? From the mirror, no. No. Don't want anything
there's
from
a mirror right
the mirror.
there.
On the carpet.
On the carpet. The mirror's on the carpet.
Birds.
Birds. Oh,
Birds
look
on
at that. Birds up on the cabinet.
Oh, there are birds on the sky.
I'm a child is what
What?
I'm a child.
I'm a...
the other spirit chat just said, I'm a child.
Baroness.
Were you a baroness in your life?
That's a very dramatic word.
is
Yeah.
Baroness. Trying to
Are you,
look around to see if there's anything that might.
Are you related to a baroness? Federal.
A federal baroness?
Were you a
A robber baron? Are you trying to tell us that you're a wealthy landowner of the area?
or were you given your baroness title? Oh,
No. You were given the baroness title?
but did the government did the government? I'm sorry, my mouth just stopped. Anyways, did the government give you your baroness title? Is that what you were saying? Or what was or
Or do we have a possession that was once belonged to a baroness?
mommy?
Oh, that's the I'm a child.
The
Are you-
mommy, Lord.
Was your mommy the baroness?
Are you attached to Mr. Nope?
Leg.
Leg.
Are you attached to its leg? Are you holding its leg? This is very active for it.
It's awfully talkative today. I mean, the Spirit Chat 4. Spirit Chat 3 is about as chatty as suggested.
What are you suggesting? It's a big word for a child.
Yeah. Well, Baroness.
Well, I mean, like...
That's a big... Oh.
It spread fast.
Oh, no.
Oh, God.
Did you have a disease?
Leg disease.
Well...
Spread fast?
Because...
Like gangrene?
Yeah.
Thank?
Yeah. Did you have a disease that was on your leg? Like, did it start on your leg? Well, because it could have been a rash as well that spread.
Oh, for sure.
Resistance.
Oh, like
to
bacteria.
antibiotic. Yeah.
Baroness is a heavy metal band from Savannah, Georgia.
Yeah. You know, that's interesting. I know that.
It's the Spirit Parajunkies. Yes, it is.
Huh. It is a
sludge
Baroness
metal,
is.
progressive metal, hard rock band.
They've played here.
Hail.
That's what I was wondering.
Hail.
Hail the Resistance? Are you a fan of
Hail?
What are you hailing? We might be talking.
Are
to
any
two
of the
different
members
things.
of Baroness dead?
Good luck.
Good luck.
Are you saying good luck to figuring it out?
Yeah. Maybe he's just trying to confuse us.
It's very possible.
Radar always loves talking about a trickster spirit in here.
Yeah. Can you give us any more clarity, please? Or are you just saying, well, musical?
Baroness is a hard heavy metal band.
Heavy metal
from
band.
Savannah.
Do you like that band?
Are any of their...
They
Are
played
any
here
of
9 months ago.
Yeah. I remember when they played.
Threat.
Oh. Yeah. Are any other songs... Oh.
Way.
Baroness.
Hurry. Are you saying there's a threat coming?
Ooh.
Oh. That's interesting. For those of you who are just listening, we are playing with 2 spirit chat boxes. They work kind of on the premise of like the Ovilus. They are word banks. They're loaded up with words. The version 3 has 4,500 words. The version 4 has 10,500 words. And that they can draw from influences around the boxes to create communication words that come through. Inconceivable.
All right, let's see if any of their songs. They're actually kind of big. Oh,
Kitchen. Box. Kitchen box.
And we don't know that these spirits are speaking through both boxes. We don't know if a spirit can attach to a box and speak solely through that box. We don't know
nothing like a sheep.
Any of these things influence each other. We have had some amazing interactions with the spirit chat, though.
2.
That's the first time I've seen a number, written out as a number.
Spirit chat's weird.
It's a very weird thing. It's super enjoyable, though, because it kind of just prompts you to like be thinking about what could possibly be, what is the conversation. Large scale. What would be in large scale? In an inconceivable box.
All right,
so large scale.
One Baroness song is called Jake Leg.
Oh, leg.
Leg.
Huh. Did it spread fast?
I'm looking for anything that it might be wanting us to play.
Oh, music-wise? Why don't you just play any Baroness song?
Any Baroness
Can
song?
we
Play
do
their
that?
number one.
No, we can't.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're going to have some copyright issue.
Yeah,
we might do that after we turn off the recording. Tell what? Do you wish to tell us something?
Do you want us to play a specific song?
Would you like us to use some other device to hear you?
Credible.
Some credible device?
Are you saying this is not credible?
This is not credible. Don't believe the spirit box. The spirit chat, I should say. Excuse me. Large scale, tell, critical. What do you mean this box? This box has been very quiet.
Yeah, that box has been real quiet.
So the Spirit Chat 3 has been quiet. Actually, it quieted down a lot when the Spirit version 4 came. I wonder if the Spirit's like, this got more words.
Long term.
Long term.
And it feels like there's a very business-like transaction going on over here.
400 years.
It said long term and then 400
long-term 400 years.
What the heck? That was actually the weirdest thing we've gotten so far.
That's bizarre.
Are you saying that you were alive 400 years ago? 400 years ago.
Shut up. All right, so we got long term, and then immediately V3 said 400 years, and V4 said born.
Does that
And
mean
Madison mentioned
indigenous?
Oh,
Are you Yamakra?
ooh,
Tiny.
Creek? No, not Creek. What is the other?
There's. Hold on.
tiny. What about what's a? Excuse my ignorance, but
Tiny estate grounds.
what the heck? Well, Ogeechee, is that a?
Mm-mm.
Is
I
that
don't
a?
think
No,
so.
okay. Estate grounds. Interesting.
Okay. Are you Westo?
Oh yeah, it says okay.
Try another.
400 years.
Chamber.
A chamber on the estate grounds? Okay, that sounds really creepy.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that really does. That sounds dummy creepy. Huh.
Was there an estate on this land 400 years ago?
Nearby?
Yeah, because that would have been 100 years for Savannah, right?
Mm-hmm. Also here.
Also here. So
Wait, who said
That's
I'm
weird.
here? Didn't Spirit Chat V3 say I'm always here?
Yeah.
Yeah, it did.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first thing it said.
Oh,
Always
wow.
here.
So were you saying that the estate was here 400 years ago?
Oh, okay. Well, threw
What?
me off of that one there, bud. Element.
Element.
Maybe.
Was there an element of the estate here?
Oh, that's interesting. Like a chamber?
Yeah. Memory. Are you trying to remember? It's been a long time.
Oh.
I fled.
Ooh.
Oh. So
We've
that's
gotten
interesting
that
because
before.
we've had several instances where we thought that we may have been dealing
Open the door.
with
Which door?
with an escaped slave in this on this property. There's been enough references through various devices and personal accounts of witnessing things. And the door at the end.
At the end. So I don't know if you can see me pointing, but are you talking about the doors that I'm pointing towards?
I think that might mean the end of the building.
8.
Again, a number.
A number.
2, 8.
8.
So, I fled Nigeria.
Whoa. It said Nigeria. I can't see it. Oh
Yeah.
wow.
Generation, 8th generation.
Eighth generation.
Yeah.
Would that be 400 years? Would that calculate? It might.
Well, at that point, they might have been the 8th generation
Yeah.
when they were alive
Okay.
of whatever family they were from. So you were from Leave.
Leave.
So we have
Lord.
Creek.
Here's the door. Leave. Were you brought here from Nigeria? Such.
Yeah. Again, this is not an exact art. There has to be a lot of room for error because if we don't know how these boxes work, it's likely the ghosts don't either. So sometimes the question is, should we be imagining what? There it is.
Slavery.
There it is.
So you were brought here in the slave
There,
trade.
we got chamber, estate.
Did they have you in a
Nigeria.
chamber? Did they keep you in a chamber?
Such means, is that a way to agree? Like,
Yeah.
such. Such is.
As
Yeah.
such.
As such. That's what I mean. Huh.
Teddy bear.
Oh, the Boo Bear.
Or
Oh, there is a teddy bear.
Mr. Nope.
Mr. Nope.
Do you like Mr. Nope?
Everyone likes Mr. No.
Do you think this is an 8-year-old?
Could be.
Sight.
State ground, site. I mean, it's all been very much like talking about here, where we are. Teddy bear. What they called a teddy bear back then?
Very aggressive.
What, Mr. No? Yeah, he is.
Well, so teddy bears weren't called teddy bears until after Theodore Roosevelt,
Roosevelt, right.
because he is the reason why
Oh.
teddy bears existed. But regardless,
Okay, but we got very aggressive. That's
stars.
they are stars.
Oh my gosh. Anyways, what's very aggressive? Or who is very aggressive? Bottom of lake.
Well,
So it's interesting because I was looking
me
up the
the
Nigerian slaves of the region, and that's Igbo Island. You know, the story of the slave trade that they all
Yeah,
committed
yeah.
suicide.
Yeah.
They all drown.
yeah, interesting.
Show me the stars. Are you trying to find directions?
That's it. That's what I was just thinking. Show me the stars.
Are you trying to find the directions?
And trying to get home.
That's it.
slowly trying to get home. Oh,
So, I mean, we could paint our own story here, but it seems like someone was here in a chamber, maybe from Nigeria, and escaped and is trying to use the stars
To
to
navigate
navigate.
home.
Yeah, that's interesting. Just a letter?
Just maybe it's going to spell something out.
Okay.
But it's interesting too because the Nigerian slaves were the source for the flying slaves, the ones that would jump up into the sky to fly home.
yeah.
Interesting.
Did your name start with P? Or did the name they gave you start with P?
There's the end, spread. But spread was on that one, wasn't it? Because it was like leg, spread.
So they might have
Spread quickly or
after they
something.
fled, they might have gotten at a museum material.
Yeah, this is there's enough randomness to it that you're like, we're off topic, we're off base.
Yeah.
But we were, and again, these are devices that do not have any software really, any no microphones, no GPS. I lost. And it's fascinating. We could spend a whole day just sitting here reading the words as they come off. So we should probably go ahead and sign off for now, and know that we're probably going to be staring at these boxes for a little while. And
there's an old chest, literally, in one of the spaces. Well,
yeah, there is an old chest right behind us. Do you recognize that? Is that the box you were talking about earlier? It has a teddy bear in it. Anyway, we should sign off.
Go carefully. So that is the message that the spirit is giving you. Go carefully through life, I guess. But thank y'all so much for listening to today's episode. If you made it this far past the ghost mail, good on you. But hopefully y'all enjoyed. And if you have a ghost mail that you would like to... it just said, where is she? I don't know who she is. Oh... Tuberculosis.
No.
All right, we out.
Okay. Well, anyways, on that note. Oh God, this is.
It almost feels like they're
sad.
talking to each other.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways. Okay. Thank you all so much for listening to this. If you wanted to send in a ghost mail, you can find us at ghostmail@hauntedcitypodcast.com. But with that, my name is Madison Timmons.
I'm Chris Soucy.
Stay spooky, y'all.